Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm Eileen Hunt Botting, a political theorist at the University of Notre Dame, and it's my honor to recognize a number of people without whom this event would not be possible. First, my co-organizers, the distinguished romanticist and scholar of Mary Shelley and John Keats, Greg Kucich, the internationally renowned physical anthropologist and evolutionary theorist, Agustin Fuentes, and the award-winning independent filmmaker, Davy Snively. Their collective creativity has been a force of life itself. Secondly, I must thank our raison d'etre, Mary Shelley. We gather here in Rome, her favorite place, to mark the bicentennial of her first and greatest novel. But before we press on to assess the meanings of Frankenstein Act 200, we might take a moment to remember why she loved Rome, to consider how remarkable it was that she, as an artist, sustained this love despite losing her 3-year-old son, William, to a lethal fever in this eternal city in June of 2019. Her other major work of speculative fiction, The Last Man, published anonymously in 1826, envisions the only known survivor of a global plague, writing down his story in the year 2100. Verney is Shelley's counterpart in this roman à clef, written after her devastating loss of 5 children she loved to fatal illness, her sister and her husband's first wife to suicide, her spouse and creative partner, Percy Shelley, to drowning, and their friend and fellow performance artist, the poet Lord Byron, to sepsis on the field of war, or pretty darn close. Rather than succumb to despair, spawned by unbearable grief, Shelley had the courage to send her literary analog, Verney, to Rome. In this ancient city, he could familiarly converse with the wonder of the world, sovereign mistress of the imagination, majestic and eternal survivor of millions of generations of extinct men. He, or should I say she, haunted the Vatican and dwelled in the Colonna Palace in awe of the art and architecture. Inspired by the sublime surroundings, Shelley speculated through Verney that there might be another Adam and Eve on some remote frontier protected from the plague who could repeople the earth. Stirred to save humanity, Shelley has Verney visit the libraries of Rome and planned to take advantage of all the libraries in the world. She has him read the old histories in order to compose a new history of the last man. Its thoughtful synthesis of the past might immunize the next generation of humanity from self-destruction in the future. Shelley imagines Verney alone in Rome, ascending St. Peter's. On top of the dome of the church, she surveys, via her avatar, the majestic ruins and monuments. Through the eyes of her simulacrum, Shelley pictures herself as Pope, Emperor, and God, all at once. The author knew she had the creative power to use writing, the artifact of education, to bring herself and humanity back from the threshold of death itself. Shelley had become what Victor Frankenstein was not, an artist who could sustain humanity through writing about the past, including her own, no matter how difficult it was to confront. Thank you for gathering in Rome on the 4th of July to celebrate the bicentennial of Frankenstein. This uncanny coincidence of Independence Day with the opening of our international conference seems fitting given the Gothic atmosphere of American politics at home and abroad. Perhaps the example of Mary Shelley in Rome, standing virtually on the dome of St. Peter's, might inspire us to rethink the future of humanity on the basis of a careful inventory of our cultural past. Thank you
My My name is Greg Kucich. I'm with the Department of English at the University of Notre Dame, and it's a great, great delight to welcome everyone here to this fabulous setting. And I'd like to thank Eileen, actually, for being a one-woman force with her tremendous organizational abilities and energies in working with us to plan this conference, and also to celebrate Eileen's new book, which has recently come out, appropriately titled Mary Shelley's Rights of the Child, just right for this conference. I'd also like to thank Eileen for reminding all of us Americans in the audience that it's not so bad to be out of Gothic America on Independence Day, away from it all. While I'm in the mode of Thanksgiving, I wanted to thank everyone here, all the participants and all the contributors, for being here at this event. And I can really thank you in advance for bringing your own tremendous energies to this conference, because you've all worked on Frankenstein in this many contexts, and I know that there's been great preparation in coming to this conference. You know, conference can only be as good as the energies that are poured into it, and we're already grateful for the energies that you're all pouring in to this conference. One of the most exciting things about this particular event, and of course it's one of many during this bicentennial year, is the broad interdisciplinary range of speakers across the fields that we've brought together here. And it's very fitting for a novel Frankenstein to have such an interdisciplinary group, a novel that reaches out to so many readers in so many urgent ways. And it's going to be fascinating, we all think, and we all look forward to the conversations that take place during this conference that cross disciplinary lines, and we'll see how effectively we communicate together. And speaking of conversations, there will be a post-conference conversation in the form of a book publication, a collection of essays that is in the planning development right now. So we'll be letting you know how that development is coming along. And just in closing, I only want to spend a minute or two thanking several important people and resources who have made this event possible. And first and foremost is the support of the fantastic University of Notre Dame Rome Global Gateway, the institution we're in right here, and its director, Heather Minor, whom you'll hear from in just a few minutes, and its fabulous staff as well, who've done so much to make this a smooth and exciting environment to be in. This is actually one of a number of what we call Notre Dame Global Gateways, which offer not just undergraduate teaching abroad opportunities or studying abroad opportunities, but also opportunities like the present one to run conferences like this, international, interdisciplinary, that work toward fulfilling Notre Dame's aspiration to be a major cultural and academic player on the global scene. And just in closing, I'd also like to thank our conference coordinators, Lori Roberts, who is back at the home campus, who many of you have communicated with, and here at the registration table, Alyssa Dora, standing right back there, watching, keeping track of everything, and Kristen Garvey and Podol, who are running the registration table and doing a lot of logistical things to help out with the conference. So we're very grateful for their help too. A final word of thanks should go to the many sponsoring Notre Dame institutions that have provided resources and funding for the event here. There are too many to name, but they're all listed in the program. So if you get a chance, you might just run through the program to see the variety of sources that have been helpful for us. But I would like to single out specifically special thanks to the Institute for Scholarship and the Liberal Arts, and for the Dean's Office in the College of Arts and Letters, and for the team of the Notre Dame Institute for Advanced Studies, who are filming all of this and will be interviewing people. So be careful what you do in the audience there, because you might be on screen. So having thanked everyone and thanked the gods, I wish you all a fantastic conference.
Good morning. My name is Agustin Fuentes. I'm the chair of the Department of Anthropology at the University of Notre Dame, and I want to start just by thanking both Eileen and Greg for doing the yeoman share of the work in organizing and making it possible for all of you to be here, and to really spending the last year talking with you, talking with each other, talking with administration, and getting people to cough up the funds to enable us to enjoy ourselves. And I also want to thank, follow on Greg, and thank the staff both here at the Rome Global Gateway and back at the University of Notre Dame for the incredible organizing that you will see unfold before you over the next few days. I just want to say two brief things. The first is to echo what Greg just let us know. This is an interdisciplinary conference, and I would like to ask all of you to maybe even push a little further and to mimic Mary Shelley's dialogue about the composite creature that lives in her novel, and think of the possibility of transdisciplinarity. Think about listening to other fields and other ways of thinking through these concepts, and let yourself be open to a little bit of shaking at the base. Let ourselves think with these other disciplines and other ways of engaging with the knowledge produced, and let it infuse our own methodological and theoretical orientations, even if just a little bit. That's what we hope happens here, and we hope that at the end of these 3 days you come out slightly more creature-like. Now the second point, where I want to just outline a few of the functional details of the program. First and foremost, very important, each floor of this building has restrooms. They're just outside here, and on the second, third, fourth, I'm not sure, fourth and fifth floors, I know for sure, and sixth. And so if you need to use those, please locate them early on so you can find them. Second, we will have two types of sessions. Some have 15-minute papers, some have 20-minute papers, but each chair will be asked to remind the speakers to stay on time so that we have ample discussion time after the presentation. So we'll ask everyone to hold, not their applause, but to hold their questions until after the full bulk of speakers so that we can have an engaged discussion with the full panel up here at the front of the room. There will be a coffee break today after the first session, and then there will be lunch breaks each day. You are on your own for lunch. It's a 2-hour break from 12:30 to 2:30. We ask that you please be back here a little before 2:30 because we intend to start on time each day. And finally, Thursday, which is tomorrow afternoon, the final session is in fact a student poster session that will also double as a reception. So after our final panel session, we will ask everyone to join us on the
First floor.
First floor, right, I was trying to remember which one. The first floor in the atrium there, where all the students will have put up their posters, and will be an ample time to enjoy a little snack and a drink, and to talk with each of the students and help them, help us think through this creaturely existence. Thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Heather Hyde Minor, Professor of Art History at the University of Notre Dame and Director of the Rome Global Gateway. I'm also a wayward English major, something that I felt called upon to say sitting up here looking at all of you out there. So Frankenstein is something I remember very, very fondly reading through in a bad Massachusetts winter more than 20 some years ago. So my remarks are going to be very brief. I just wanted to give you the warmest greetings of all of us here at the Gateway and of Notre Dame International, our office on campus that runs these wonderful centers that are designed not only to provide and enrich undergraduate education for our wonderful Notre Dame students, but also to provide opportunities for our faculty to engage in research collaborations and projects that range from conferences to extensive interdepartmental collaborations that we have here with a number of institutions in the city that range from the Sapienza, the main university in Rome, to the Apostolic Vatican Library, another of our wonderful research partners here. So I'm delighted that you could all be with us today. I wish you the best for your conference. I hope that as the organizers have said, it sounds like you have a full slate of events that you're going to be engaging in, a lot of very exciting conversations and learning and thinking that you're going to do together. Please don't hesitate to let me or any member of our staff here to know if there's anything we can do to make things more comfortable, better, warmer for you here in Rome. Thank you.
Hello there, my name is Giuseppe Albano. I'm the curator of the Keats-Shelley Memorial House here in Rome. It's a museum devoted to the second generation English Romantic poets, as well as some non-poets, such as Mary Shelley, and their relationships with Italy, the literary friendship, if you like, between Britain and Italy. And it's housed in the final home of John Keats in the Piazza di Spagna. And I am absolutely thrilled to be here today. Thank you very much to Greg Kucich for inviting me. I'm thoroughly impressed by the quality of the programme that has been put together, the richness, the variety of this programme. I can see the hard work that's gone into this, but I can also sense the zeal and the passion for Mary Shelley's work, shared by all of us, I think, in this important year, this bicentenary year for Frankenstein. Second bicentenary year for Frankenstein, I should say, because I'm having a deja vu moment. My own organisation, like many others, also celebrated the bicentenary of the genesis, the thrilling moment of the genesis of Frankenstein back in 2016, which seems a very long time ago now. And, but I think it's testament to the power of Mary Shelley's novel that it gets not one but two bicentenaries. Not many other literary texts get that privilege. And obviously there are many activities that have been going on. One of the things that I've been noticing, not just this year, but actually in recent years, I've been 7 years at the Keats-Shelley House, and certainly in recent years there's more and more interest in Mary Shelley, in her work. So much so that many visitors who come to visit us, particularly Italian visitors who come to visit us now, think that the Shelley in the name of the museum and in the name of the association that cares for it refers to Mary Shelley. I've even heard some preposterous questions like, were Keats and Mary Shelley married? And Mary Shelley his sister and all. But it certainly shows that her fame is ever ascending, ever on the rise. And we also have a small but pretty fabulous collection of Mary Shelley manuscripts, objects, books, artifacts at the museum, including a collection of autograph letters. We have 2 early editions of Frankenstein signed and inscribed by the author to her son, Percy Florence, one of them with a lovely inscription in Italian, written years later during a moment of nostalgia for Italy that the author had. We've had since the autumn of last year, Mary Shelley's travel writing desk, or slope, which has quickly become one of the most popular sought-after objects in the museum. Bearing in mind that our museum, 40% of our annual visitors are Italian school groups, and they make a beeline for that desk when they come in. So it definitely shows the power of Mary Shelley. And despite its venerable old age, Mary Shelley's monster seems to be in robust health as well. I mean, it's endlessly being reinvented and reinterpreted. It reaches out across different modes and genres to new generations. I mean, really quite incredible. I was just thinking about recent reinterpretations of the monster, including the Royal Ballet's full-length adaptation of Frankenstein, which actually wasn't very good. And in my opinion, more successful, American Horror Story Coven. I don't know if anybody knows that program, but their reinvention of the monster in that series. There's the new series of American Horror Story, season 8 starts in September. I hope that monster comes back. It would be a timely return. But at the heart of all this success, all the success in Mary Shelley's monster and its endless reinterpretations is the novel itself. And I really hope with this bicentenary, even more than the bicentenary in 2016, I really hope with this bicentenary, the bicentenary of the publication, that we encourage people to go back to the book, to go back to the novel, to discover this novel. Because everybody thinks they know Frankenstein, but when we encourage people to read it for the first time, they'll discover something quite marvellous and something they perhaps weren't expecting. And it really is the power of Mary Shelley's work. It is the potency of her imagination, of her descriptive language, the psychological complexity of the creature, the endless, the enduring relevance of her ideas. This novel, there is a myriad of interpretations which arise from this novel. New ones keep coming up. And I think that some of those will be explored over the next few days here. But it really is the power of the novel itself. And that is, of course, the reason why we are here today in this fabulous location, or a great venue for a conference, even if the home campus of the University of Notre Dame, with its stunning Gothic quads, perhaps would have been a more suggestive location for a conference devoted to Frankenstein. But as Eileen pointed out, Mary Shelley was very much in love with Rome, so I think she would have approved of the choice of location. I think it only remains for me now to, well, again to thank to Greg and the organisers for inviting me to this conference, and to congratulate all of the organisers and sponsors and speakers and delegates, everyone essentially, for the success, for making this conference a success, which it will be over the next few days. And here's to the next 200 years of Frankenstein. Thank you.
Yeah.